The NBA is cratering right now, in vibes and in viewership. Their opening doubleheader was down 42% from last season.
Holy
and
shit.
their first primetime Friday night game involving...
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope y'all are having a good day so far. I'm about to check out a video from a channel I've never heard of. However, it seems like maybe I'm in a minority on that one because this one, they have 165,000 subscribers, and the channel is called Stark Raving Sports. This video is titled "The NBA is Crumbling," and I see in 2 days it's got 37,000 views. So I was like, you know what? This sounds pretty interesting to me. Not gonna lie, I normally pre-screen at least about like 15-20 seconds of a video. I didn't actually do that with this one. I figure if you got that many subscribers, you've got your shit figured out. So I'm gonna just go off of that assumption. You guys ever heard of this channel? Not me, but I am gonna do the usual thing, and if I enjoy this video, I will be a subscriber, and we'll move on from there. So as I always do, you guys, I'm gonna leave the link to the original video down below. That's gonna be in the description box, so you can check out the channel. If you like this video, you want to subscribe over there, support their channel, or if you just want to go watch this video without my commentary, go right ahead. Everybody else, please leave a like to this video, and I appreciate it if you do. Not much else to say in the intro. The NBA is crumbling. I agree with the sentiment. Let's see what they have to say about it.
The NBA is cratering right now, in vibes and in viewership. Their opening doubleheader was down 42% from last season.
Holy
and
shit.
their first primetime Friday night game involving a huge market team at home drew a smaller audience than ESPN2's college football game that night.
Guys, just right off the bat, that down 42%, he said, from last year, the game opener, that's scary. That is scary. Imagine if that was like a stock that you owned, and one day it cratered down, or like in 1 year it craters down 42%. That's scary.
You most likely clicked on this video for one of three reasons. One, you hate the NBA and are looking for someone to articulate why you hate it. Two, you love it.
I
and
do.
You're confused as to how anyone could question the quality of their product.
No,
or three,
not that.
where I'm going to guess the majority fall, people who have noticed a decline in the NBA's brand of basketball and the aura of the league as a whole, but have struggled to put it into words or understand what's changed.
I mean, I can do a pretty good job of that, but I would say my category would be I love this game with, you know, with all my might. Since I was 5 years old, I love this game, and it's killing me to watch what has become of my favorite game. And you know what? The views going down, less money being made, and this being less of a monster is probably the best thing for it. Because you know how it goes. When you're on the up and up, you keep making more money. Like, think Apple with their iPhone. They don't have to change a damn thing year to year. They just release a new iPhone. They improve the product by 5% or so per year, and they know you're going to buy it. So everyone keeps buying it. They don't have to innovate. And that's what I feel like has been going on with the NBA. They've been cruising off of the success of Michael Jordan in the 90s. And for the last 20 some odd years, they've just been in cruise control. And they need to make some damn changes and take it serious again, because it's killing. Yeah, it's killing me to see what happened to my favorite sport. So I'm a different category. I don't hate basketball. I freaking love basketball. And that's why it's hard for me.
Most generations have an era of NBA history they look back fondly on, and insist was the best that there ever was. Even down to saying the players were better than today, which is not true. Athletes are much better today than ever before.
I guess I'm a little different on that one too. I go 80s, 90s, and 2000s. My cutoff point is around 2010, where I say that's the end of the golden era, and it's been a rapid decline since then. But yeah, it's not just the one era I grew up in. The 80s, 90s, and the 2000s were great. For me, the middle was the best. The 90s was like the pinnacle, but you know, the 80s was leading into it, and the 2000s there was still a lot of play that was resembling those 90s.
But you have your people who romanticize Michael Jordan's prime, Kobe Bryant's prime, the LeBron James Heat era, or maybe that one day in 2019 where DJ Augustine hit a game-winning shot in the playoffs and the D'Angelo Russell bench mob Brooklyn Nets beat the Sixers on the road. Basketball is an easy sport to get nostalgic thinking about, but I'm not sure this era is going to leave that impression on fans the same way. Gone is the NBA where Vince Carter is dominating the dunk contest like it had never seen before,
Right.
doing it in a crazy dual-colored uniform too. Gone are the universally followed legends that dominate the sport that you're either watching out of pure respect and fandom, or a desire to watch kings get knocked off the throne.
Right.
We're in purgatory for the NBA in 2024, and here's why.
All right.
The best thing the sport
I'm good on this one, man. I'm subscribing. This guy knows what he's talking about. I like this.
of basketball has to offer is its individuals. 5 players per team on the court at a time makes each one all the more important and all the more visible. Each one stands out already, but the stars especially. Also having their faces totally unobstructed is a huge plus for marketability, unless they're wearing one of these things. Having all this player visibility is great for a sport that eventually has entire team matchups get boiled down to this superstar versus that superstar. And when you have big charismatic stars that are also winning championships.
Real quick, this reminds me of something. One of the problems in modern basketball, modern NBA, is it used to not be this star versus this star. It used to be this team versus this team. And then you showcase the leaders of it. But rivalries used to go on for years and years and years. Think the Lakers and Celtics. That didn't start in the 80s, you guys. That started long before that. That was Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. And then it continued on for another generation with Kareem and Magic versus Larry Bird and his group of amazing players in Boston. And then it got reignited with Kobe versus the Big Three. Kobe and Paul Pierce versus the Big Three. So like real rivalries, like this was a solid thing. But now, like, okay, good example with Steph because he's been there his whole career. But most of these guys, like LeBron James, it's hard to call this a rivalry because he's been with Cleveland and Miami and then Cleveland again and then now the Lakers. Like we can't call this a rivalry versus teams at all. And I see it across the board. Look at Kevin Durant's career. There are no rivals. He has no rivals because there's never been that team that he's trying to beat. Because when he couldn't beat his rival, he went to another team that he thought would give him a better chance to beat those guys. Not the same thing that we used to deal with like Jordan versus the Bulls versus Pistons. Can he ever get over the hump? That was what we were tuning in to watch. Can he finally do it this year? Can he finally do it? And it means that much more when they do. But if Jordan were to like leave, go to say, I don't know, who was good back then? Besides them, go to Cleveland, and then with Cleveland, he beats the Pistons. But he couldn't do it with Chicago because he gave up. Like that wouldn't be considered a rivalry anymore. It would have been like, oh, one person just kind of cheated his way through. I hope this makes sense to you guys because I think this is a major factor in why we're not tuning in nearly as much as we used to.
That superstar. And when you have big charismatic stars that are also winning championships, that's a huge draw for your sport. Mostly for good, as people have proven they love watching stars pursue championships. Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron all experienced this. Or people love watching the big powerful stars hoping against hope they'll finally get beat. The Warriors were this turned up to 11 when they had Steph Curry and Kevin Durant together. Right now, neither of these situations exist. The last 2 teams to win championships have been the Celtics and Nuggets. Their best players, Jason Tatum and Nikola Jokic, frankly, don't move the needle enough outside of diehard NBA fans.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
Anything is possible. Dude, I cringed so hard when I saw that because I was like, dude, did you just rip off KG?
Hey, Jokic's whole thing is people don't even think he likes basketball.
Yeah.
And he's been the best player in the league for the last 2 or 3 years.
I know, he likes
It seemed
horses.
like he was sad that he won a championship.
He was.
Because it meant he had a shorter summer vacation. These recent winning
No,
stars.
he was happy they won. He was sad that they were going to have a parade to celebrate the next day because he wanted to get back home and, get with his horses. It was actually hilarious to see that press conference. He was like, when is parade? When is parade? And they were like, tomorrow. And he's like, oh. And he was trying to get out of it. It was the funniest crap I've ever seen.
Haven't earned the status of having enough juice to make the general public root for, or even better, root against them. If it felt like we had this very recently in the NBA, we did. Those superstars have just gotten old.
You played against my dad, your first NBA game ever, really. Sacramento. You feel old, don't you?
They've aged out of the window where they're the very best of the best, and their teams aren't coming close enough to championships to make the pursuit compelling enough to get people to care. I would venture a guess that the two most popular and widely recognizable active NBA players are still LeBron James and Steph Curry. The old guard of the league is still kicking it, as are its most commonly known and loved figures. They're just not coming close enough to what really matters anymore. You've got a few candidates in the next wave of stars that have the potential to step into their shoes, most notably Anthony Edwards and Victor Wembanyama, but they both need to actually get a championship before they're able to become figures that transcend just basketball culture. They've got some time. Neither one of them are old enough to rent a car without having to pay a premium for it, but we're still in a bit of a star purgatory until either one of them happens to get to the top of the mountain. And even if you have gotten there before, you still might not be safe from contributing to the sentiment that...
What'd he say? If we don't win this year, would you get fired? Do you have it in the back of your mind, like, what if this year doesn't go well? Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. Yeah, this is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody. Do you think they would trade him?
The NBA is getting worse. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a two-time NBA MVP who won a championship for the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021. He is one of the most well-regarded players of his era by just about every account. Even he is not safe from being considered part of the problem.
I gotta be real. I have a hard time thinking they would fire him. But then again, maybe that's wishful thinking. For me personally, if I was the owner there, Giannis brought the first championship to Milwaukee since Lou Alcindor. There's no way in hell I'm ever firing him unless he becomes toxic and starts becoming just a terrible teammate or something like that. But if he ever asked me to go, then yeah, absolutely. I'd be like, where you want to go? I'll do everything in my power. We owe you one. You did great work for us, but I wouldn't trade him. Like right now, if they missed the playoffs right now, I wouldn't trade him. I'd sit down and talk to him and be like, what really went wrong? Because this is the worst season since you've been here. Like, what happened? And let's try to fix it.
Have slowly started to fall apart in Milwaukee, and yet Giannis, a huge figure of the community, fan base, and organization out there, has reports swirling left and right that he might want to angle his way off the team for bigger and better. Regardless of how fair you think that desire would be, if he has it at all, it leads into something that drives fans crazy. The NBA's best players have taken total control over the directions of their franchises.
Agreed.
Holding them hostage to win for them immediately, or else they're going to leave for a team that has the cap space to take on 2 or 3 future Hall of Famers on the court at once.
Yeah, LeBron pretty much started this, and it's gotten really out of hand.
If Giannis, someone who stayed in Milwaukee long enough to earn them a title and built them good enough to a point where they got themselves a second superstar in trade, isn't even immune from this, then that's going to make fans hopeless. James Harden has done this with 2 teams. Kyrie Irving has as well. It's hard to get attached to your team's star in the NBA when, now more than ever, the stars are clicking up on a top handful of teams to chase championships that they rarely ever get. Durant, Irving, and Harden didn't win in Brooklyn. They didn't even get to a conference final. Kawhi and Paul George haven't won with the Clippers. Giannis and Damian Lillard's first year in Milwaukee was a disappointment.
Yeah.
The model in the NBA has been to collect 2 superstars at once and use them both to chase a championship. And some of that has been players taking matters into their own hands and sacrificing any and all allegiance to their teams no matter what's happened in their careers beforehand. Is there a way for the NBA to fix this themselves? Maybe, but I can't think of any kind of rule change that would mitigate this. It's strictly a problem of the pursuit of money or a championship. being that pervasive and that essential to what the players think they have to achieve for anyone to care about them. And it's led to way more burning of bridges than I think there's ever been. Then you compound that with a growing perception that the NBA's brand of basketball on the floor is softer than ever.
Yeah.
And you've got a real issue brewing up with
We do.
resentment for the game's best players.
We do.
The NBA has gotten progressively more strict about rough physical basketball, which is something a lot of older fans really love about vintage basketball. In fact, people think the game got so soft that there's the whole so-and-so wouldn't have made it in Michael Jordan's era cliche.
Real quick, too, just to clarify, that's why I say the 90s was like the pinnacle in my mind. There's only one reason. They needed to clean up some of those non-call fouls. So, in other words, when you're doing an obvious flagrant foul, whacking someone in the back of the head instead of actually going for the ball, and it was intentional that you're literally hitting this dude in the head, or you grab him with two hands while he's in midair and you throw him onto the ground. There's no play at the ball whatsoever. We needed flagrant fouls. We desperately needed flagrant fouls in this league, and in the 90s, we had them. So we got the flagrants, but the athleticism and the physicality was still the same in the 90s. It was just you can't get away with trying to murder somebody anymore. That's why I thought it was the best era. It had nothing to do with the players or anything like that. It was just I think the rules were at its perfect sweet spot of competition.
And it's making fans jaded with the basketball they're seeing in the NBA right now.
What is that trash?
I personally would never want to play like that, and I understand how awful it is for the players, but speaking strictly from a fan enjoyment perspective, our
this is exactly what I was talking about.
Players, but speaking strictly from
this is with intention to hurt Larry Bird. This is not a play on the ball whatsoever.
Fan enjoyment perspective.
Okay, that was a play on the ball, but he landed on his back intentionally. So that's Rodman. That's strike one. Then in two, tell me how this is a play on the ball by Bill Laimbeer. So yeah, the 80s needed to clean up a little bit.
Human animal brains do kind of love watching guys get clotheslined in the paint. It's the same reason people thought the XFL scramble was a good idea. But there is one person who decidedly does not like this. His name is Adam Silver.
Oh.
He's the commissioner of the NBA.
Voldemort.
And he ultimately gets to be the one who decides if rough and tumble basketball is cool or not. Their decision here is that having players potentially get injured or have careers shortened because some defender beat them into the ground is not good business. You need your superstars not to be injured or straight up mangled if they can make appearances on Jesse or Static Shock or if Chris Rock voiced action figures.
You're the best player in the NBA. I mean, those spin moves and the dunks. Oh.
It's the same thing the NFL is doing with their quarterbacks. So preserving them makes sense, and it is an inherently good idea to make the game better. Problem is, people started to abuse that new system.
Yeah, we went way too far.
James Harden should have gone down as arguably the most prolific scorer in NBA history. At least definitely one of the top few. But his reputation at the time he was reaching these new heights was that his success was a byproduct of repeated and excessive foul baiting. Flopping became a severe issue that
this
the NBA
is so bad.
Of repeated
Okay, see, Blake, his hands are already up. This takes so much away from the game. His hands are already up, like he's about to get arrested, because he already knows. Oh, this guy's about to flop. Did he get the call?
Excessive foul baiting.
He got the
Flopping
call. Fuck.
became a severe issue that the NBA finally decided to regulate before the 2023-24 season.
That should be a flagrant. That should be a flagrant on James Harden. He could freaking dislocate a shoulder right here. Look at this. He's going to pull up on it.
The NBA finally decided to regulate before the
What is that?
2023.
What is this? What is this? And then you reward the offensive player. Sorry, guys. This shit kills me.
24 season, and its stars have been its most visible offenders in this. LeBron was given a technical foul last season for flopping. You realize how bad your flop has to be for it to get punished when you're LeBron? Also, the anti-flopping rule is mostly perceived to be a giant...
Whoa. I've never seen this one.
Punished when you're LeBron. Also...
Okay. All right. We got a full body worth of space in between them.
The anti...
What you doing? What you doing, Trey?
Flopping...
What you doing, Trey? What are you doing, Trey? Is he possessed? Has something possessed his body?
Mostly
He's
perceived
being
to be
attacked.
a giant sham.
Oh
for
my
what it-
God. I think a ghost just violated him.
It's worth. Joel Embiid could have gone down as the best player of his era too. Only he has a reputation for flopping,
And he's-
swapping out physical play for dirty play.
Dirty as hell,
and
too.
Just general subpar effort and availability.
Yeah.
That's how the public sees him. He has had injury problems throughout his career, and no matter how fair or unfair this might be to levy against him, the fact is that he was sitting out of so many games without being seriously injured that he became the face of a new rule where there became a formal minimum games played requirement to be considered for awards.
I'd respect him so much more if he said, I've suffered so many injuries up until this point. I will no longer be a starting player. I will come off the bench, average about 20 to 25 minutes a game, and I'm also only going to be getting paid about $10 million a year. I'd respect the hell out of him for that. But he took a pay increase, and he's going to play less. Lost all respect.
This is more than an Embiid problem. Type load management into the search engine of your choice, and there's a huge paper trail of teams doing this to preserve their stars for the playoffs, thinking it keeps them fresh to give them a better chance at a ring. On top of all that we've said before, also having a lack of availability for elite players does not bode well for the likability of your brand. And what's really sad is that it does not have to be this way. Most of the NBA's best players are, and always have been, some of the most charismatic and likable people in the world. They do try to lean into that. It's just being overcome by a larger public perception that the game and its stars have gotten soft, and there's not as many lovable heroes to root for anymore. Even if that may sound unfair, that is generally the...
Wait. He's playing victim again. I didn't see this. Joel Embiid, I've done too much for this city to be treated like this. I broke my face twice. Nobody appreciates. I broke my face twice. Oh, no. Don't be the victim. You're letting your fans down, bro. Of course they're upset with you.
growing sense I've noticed among people, and am doing my best to capture and articulate here for you. But you know what? They really can fix that. There are ancillary ways to boost your brand image that the NBA has nailed in the past. They've just slipped in those areas too in recent
Cedric Ceballos, the blindfold dunk in a dunk contest.
years. So let's go over some easy, small-scale fixes that can prop their brand back up a little bit. First, and I cannot stress this enough, stop making all the teams burn through their annual alternate jerseys every single year.
Man, I don't even know what some of these are. What's this? Is that Denver or something off the top of my head? I think I see the Rocky Mountains. It should be a lot easier for me to know that. The land? Is that Philly? Is that Houston? What is that? Rip City, Detroit. Okay, but that's obvious to me. Won't be obvious to everybody. What the hell's a Buzz City? Hornets. Man, this is stupid. This is stupid. H-Town. I know that, but I don't know off the top of my head. So I don't know what you are. That's supposed to be Memphis? That's terrible. Indy, this is not representing the Pacers at all. What's this crap? It looks like a t-shirt. New Orleans, okay. District 1? Is that like a prequel to that movie like District 11 or some shit? They got a basketball team now? The Valley, El Valley, that's the Suns. Brotherly Love. All right, you guys, I guess. I'd be pissed off if I got a jersey, like as a gift, of one of my favorite players, and it was one of these kind of jerseys instead of the official ones. That would suck.
Year. They've had some incredible new jerseys come out of this. I think the best version of the Heat's Miami Vice look might be my favorite sports jersey ever. The Clippers had the GTA font one, the Magic had the orange pinstripes, the Knicks black color scheme was awesome. Currently the Raptors have one where it's their throwback
That's
logo
cool.
Doing Vince Carter's iconic dunk.
That's really cool.
Those are great. Stop making teams replace them after 1 year. For all of these incredible...
Lake Show. Dude, this is not the Lake. The Lake Show was in the 90s.
ones, you get like 27 other uninspired, sloppy, boring
What
jerseys
the
a
hell?
year that exist probably because they're out of good ideas having to churn a new one out every season.
That one's
Look at
alright.
the drop-off the Heat had to endure once because of this.
Ew.
Having your teams and players look really cool might sound like a
I remember this jersey. Yeah.
superficial boost, but that stuff does matter in creating something that people remember fondly. They're making the mistake baseball was making trying to sell those new bad All-Star jerseys every year.
Ooh,
And they
those are
finally
rough.
realized that sticking with the good looks is more important. We live in a world where people seem to agree that throwback uniforms are better than current day ones.
I agree. Yeah, I was going to say, this looks like a real quality jersey, while this looks like a cheap tank top that you wear, you know, when you're alone in the summer at home in Arizona.
People seem to agree that throwback uniforms are better than current day ones, especially in basketball. That shouldn't be the case. Imagine if everyone agreed Batman looked better 30 or 60 years ago than today. That would be pathetic, but that's what people seem to think with basketball.
It is.
And like it or
They
not,
had to figure it out in the 90s. I don't know if you guys have caught the pattern. He keeps showing the ones in the 90s are the ones that were our favorites. And they were. I think they peaked out at that point. They had the best jerseys.
that does seem to matter. All the same as these other things for why the NBA hasn't had the same aura of late. It sounds basic, it sounds shallow when you roll it all together, but it seems to be true. You can even say that if you add 2 expansion
Oh.
teams and they have cool uniforms to start with, that's a built-in way to have fans romanticize, oh, remember when they insert new expansion team in whatever city you want had cool uniforms
Oh, I mean, that's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. Like, this is not the NBA.
20 years ago. There are so many
There it
ways
is.
to solve the uniform problem. They're just thinking way too much in terms of sales, if I had to guess. And that's not the last thing like that they've lost out on, that they can rekindle.
Once again, yeah, that's the Suns 90s jersey. You can look up and see Charles Barkley wearing one of those in his MVP year in 93.
To improve the league. The in-season events have totally lost all of their luster.
What's a rising star? Oh, never mind. Yeah, a rising star. That's a scrimmage game, exhibition.
There's like nothing for fans to look forward to from their teams from the first game of the season all the way to the start of the playoffs. And they got to work on that. Fans really feel like they can skip the regular season if the team is going to go to the playoffs anyway. The rollout for the in-season tournament wasn't as pretty as they'd hoped. Players didn't understand it. Fans didn't understand it. The courts hurt people's eyes.
Yeah,
What's going on in there? What?
it's bad
That
chicken.
light. Oh, the red.
This is bad chicken. All right, I'm gonna be fair to the in-season tournament.
And I
The point of it is terrible. Terrible. It means nothing. That part is a big problem, and I've thought about a way to fix it. I can't. I don't know what the hell to say about that. It's garbage because of that. What I can say that was interesting was the level of competition in these single elimination games in a tournament. I enjoyed that. That was actually my favorite week of basketball in the regular season last year. And I wish we could reproduce this somehow, but actually have the stakes matter. Have winning mean something, because it meant absolutely nothing. There were no stakes. There was nothing to lose. So, but if we can find a way to capture that level of competition in a bottle with single elimination games, but have it actually mean something, I'm all for it. But they got half the problem there. You know, they got to fix the other half the problem now. And maybe those courts were not the best idea. I see what they're doing by making it different, but I don't think this was it. But okay, first try, improve on it.
would wager the majority of casual fans could not tell you which 2 teams played in its championship game. Clearly,
Lakers and Indiana. 2 teams that obviously did not go to the finals. So why did this matter?
define it and give it a realer incentive than players get cash. And make the courts less difficult to look at, please. We've talked for
logo is cool,
years about Vince Carter, Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin,
Yeah.
and plenty of others at the dunk contest, but the dunk contest is as dead as can
Oh,
be
no.
right now. The star power for it is non-existent, and people miss that. Like, seriously, I've brought up Vince Carter like
Hold up.
3
Oh, yeah, that's bad. That just looks so bad. Kenyon Martin Jr., Jaylen Brown. I remember that. What the hell? What the hell? Where are the real dunkers?
Non-existent, and people miss that. Like seriously,
They say this is the peak of basketball players right now. They're more athletic. They jump higher. They're whatever. Blah 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 blah. Show me in a fucking dunk contest. Show me. We all want to see it. Why is this little white dude named McClung winning dunk contests when he doesn't even play in the NBA? Why is he better than all the NBA players who are supposed to be the best of the best? Not only the best of the best now, but the best of history is what the narrative is. The best we've ever seen. Why can't any of those guys beat a guy who's in a G League who's really short? Why? Why is he a better dunker? Why is he more athletic than everybody in the NBA? Why isn't Ant-Man in one of these dunk contests? Something.
brought up Vince Carter like 3 times already in this video. People really love him as an iconic player of the recent past, and the first image in everyone's mind for that is a dunk contest from almost 25 years ago. You don't get that anymore. The dunk contest is on life support if it's not dead already.
It's dead.
Same with the All-Star game. That got a whole separate video from me already.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
Dead already. Same
was
with
the score?
the All-Star game. That got a whole separate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's worse than I remember. 211 points to 186 points. Just cancel it. Disgraceful farce. Worst ever. The
Video
farce unleashed.
Me already. Obama is out here saying the All-Star game sucks. And it's an election year.
Can I say something, though? Y'all got to have a little more pride in that All-Star game. That All-Star game's it's broke, man.
Well,
I mean, like, people just, like, not running. Everybody just trying all kinds of...
Well, I'm not.
It used to be when Kobe and Michael and Isaiah, those guys were playing, man. I mean, they weren't playing the way they did regular season, but they wanted to win.
Sidebar.
Dude, shout out to Obama on his basketball take. That's awesome. I know he was I don't know if he was born in Chicago, but he grew up in Chicago watching a lot of the Bulls and watching Jordan and all that, so he knows good basketball. And for him to call him out like that, that's pretty cool. Because, yeah, you can't say Jordan was playing as hard as he would in a regular game, but he's playing as hard in that All-Star game as we see players now play in a regular season game, if that made any sense. So played a hell of a lot harder than this trash that we're seeing. And I don't mean him. I just mean the players who are playing now. This is terrible.
Do you realize how bad your All-Star game has to be for a former president to dedicate time out of his day to complain about it only a few weeks before an election?
Props
There's
for
ways to
that.
do cool in-season events in basketball. Credit where credit is due. The Steph Curry versus Sabrina Ionescu three-point contest was their best new idea in years.
That's the only thing I actually enjoyed about All-Star Weekend. That's the only one. I loved this. This was great. This was a great idea. Both of them were trying. They both wanted to win. They didn't hold back, and it wasn't a farce. It was real and legit. I want more stuff like this. More stuff like this.
Now, it's time to keep it going on creating potentially legacy-shaping events for star players in men's or women's basketball, if you manage to hit the future ones out of the park. And it's going to take more than just sending your best players to the Olympics once every 4 years. Take the show on the road for a bigger scale than just a handful of overseas stops. Get crazy with it. College basketball has pulled it off in a really fun way, more than once. They played a college game on a Call of Duty map. Get creative and create one-off games or events in fun new scenarios and contexts. It's even worked for hockey and baseball in this decade. Either drawing them out in a long and confusing way or making the players apathetic to them in the first place isn't cutting it for what the NBA has going on right now. Basketball is supposed to be fun. People deep down want to see the sport and its most fun stars get celebrated and compete in as many
Emo Butler.
unique ways as possible. Make that happen. It's a nice counter to the recent lack of marketable, larger-than-life personas competing for the ultimate prize. Give fans new things to romanticize in the meantime. At the end of the day, I want young fans to have things to look back on in the way that I and the generations that came before me do. This all comes from a place of constructive criticism and a longing for the league to reach its full potential once more. Observing what the flaws, or at least the negative perceptions are out there, are how you start rebuilding. And that's good, because, quite honestly, it might not take long to wash all this away. Also, please don't let Inside the NBA die. Speaking on behalf of the general public who does not care about the intricacies of TV contracts, figure it out.
But I don't get offended by being called the wrong name.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Who do they mistake you for?
I went to
Shrek?
No,
Shrek.
That was really good.
What a way to end it. Oh, man. Man. Oh, and getting rid of the TNT NBA Inside stuff is not going to help. It's not going to help. It's one small little thing that's like holding a little bit of the NBA together right now, and it's making it feel like it's still something that we recognize, and we're going to lose this too. What a bad time. What a bad time for basketball. Oh man! All right, you guys, let me know what you thought about this one. There was a lot of bases covered here. Hope you guys are letting me know as the video goes along in the comments what you guys thought. Throw some timestamps in there for everybody if you don't mind. That way we all get the context of what you're trying to get across, and that way we can have a nice, clear, concise conversation. I enjoyed this video a lot. So SRS, I am now a subscriber to the channel. I'm looking forward to seeing more. It looks like they cover more than just basketball, so that's cool. Yeah, everybody, please leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And the NBA is crumbling. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I mean, between SRS and myself, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot in the comments, we've got a lot of suggestions for you guys. And it's just, it's constructive criticism, but a lot of this stuff is going to have to be like rip the bandage off type situation, you know? And some of these problems are just a creation of just going too far, pushing the needle too far. And we've done that, and now it becomes harder to come back from that than it would be if we just didn't go this far to begin with. Because there's going to be a lot of resistance now trying to pull it back, allow a little more defense. You know, people will be flopping around like little dolphins out there, and you know they're used to this now. They're spoiled by this. They're enabled. This is how they play basketball now. So it's going to be a hard journey to try and fix this sport. One of the things I keep thinking in the back of my mind is it might take us losing in the Olympics to another country. It might take some humbling. And I don't want that. I'm an American, so I always want us to win as many gold medals as possible. But we might need something to wake us up and go, okay, what we're doing isn't, it is not enough anymore, whatever we're doing, because the rest of the world is now better than us. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys in the comments. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you on the next one, and peace out.